Happy Sunday. Let's start on our backs today. So just finding your way into a shape where your spine can be at ease. Letting your breath settle. This small little agricultural community at the base of this volcano. The volcano is active, but not active in the way that it's bubbling lava, active in the way Mount St. Helens is active. That's not particularly important to this story. Thinking about slowing down your breath here. As the rate of respiration slows, and you think about where the body is receiving or creating the breath from. What's going on in the belly? What's changing around the sternum? Are the lungs working within the rib cage to expand and contract? Think about how the musculature is able or unable to relax. And those areas where you're still holding tension, maybe they're in your hands or your jaw, maybe it's your tongue, or musculature along the posterior chain that won't fully relax. Can you try to become more and more engaged in the exhale so that you can be more and more at ease? We'll give ourselves just 60 more seconds here, just finding our way into the practice. feels appropriate for you. Let's inhale so that both knees can be bent if they're not already. Kneecaps pointed towards the ceiling or sky. And let's slowly take our left ankle across our right thigh. So we externally rotate the left hip. Relatively, maybe prominently important is the integration of the left ankle. So we do not want to be collapsing in here. We really want to stay in line so that the calcaneus bone, that heel bone, the tibia and fibia are all integrated into a operating structure. And we want to maintain that as we make a determination whether it be advantageous to just place the left hand on the medial edge of the left thigh. And we can maybe start to energize that. The other thing that we can do to impact this is we can walk that right heel closer to our glutes. Think about this more as a structural opening, the musculature opening. We're really taking the entirety of the femur structure and we're just rotating that nearly 90 degrees, roughly 90 degrees. We're going to attempt to just find our way back into that same ease that we centered into so that we more or less melt into our exhales. And so I noted that the fact that this little town sits at the base of a volcano is not particularly important. But what is important, what is unique about this little village is that it is shrouded in a constant curtain of rain. Give yourself just 30 more seconds here. Remember, we're trying to just melt into the exhale side of our breath so that we're finding this softness. When it feels appropriate, we'll release the left foot so it can come down and mirror the right, reintegrating, finding that space for the left femur. Thinking about any asymmetry across the hip girdle now and how you might want to shift or tweak the placement of the sacrum. And then working our way into side two. Right ankle comes across the left thigh. We want to maintain the integrity at the ankle joint. We think in a similar way to obviously the first side, but also the centering of practice, about how the musculature within our body is responding to this shape, where the areas of musculature are pulling, restricting, or are not fully releasing. And then fully releasing that musculature so that the structural rotation of the femur can be as delicate and easy as is possible. Lumbar relaxing, thinking about neutral spinal alignment. You do have that opportunity to bring the left heel closer to the glutes if that's advantageous for you. But really thinking about being at ease here. Now, one important aspect of the location of this village, in proximity to this volcano, is the volcanic soil. It is remarkably fertile, but also remarkably porous. And so the earth itself can swallow a constant experience of rain without waterlogging the plant's roots or causing issue. And so the rain is not only a constant part of society here, it is a environmental experience that has been woven into the existence of these people, praised, and appreciated. Last 15 seconds here. When it feels appropriate, we'll release that right leg so that it can mirror the left. Once again, just checking for any asymmetry and thinking about tweaks and adjustments so that the sacrum can sit at ease. And then we will let the knees fall to one side or the other, whatever side feels most appropriate. And here, let's just make sure we have access to our two blankets as we press ourselves up into seat. The two blankets or two towels, whatever's easiest for you, just having them roughly shelf folded and next to us. And finding a nice little staff. Paying particular attention to how the femurs are sitting here and making sure that the legs are nice and neutral. Easy to have some kind of residual external rotation in the thighs. So really think about finding neutral. And then let's just drift our way forward into kind of a half fold, just until you feel the pull on the posterior chain. And then just walk back up to staff and take like a half bend to the knees. So not going into that full knee bend, but just a little bit of engagement. If you want to tuck a blanket or towel underneath the knees, perfect opportunity. And then we're just going to go forward into kind of that half fold again. Half fold should be a little bit easier now that we have a bend in the knees. There's more slack in the system. Find your way into the ability to relax at the start and through the finish of your exhale breath. And then let's bring ourselves back up towards staff. See what it feels like to re-extend the legs. Make sure that we're staying in that neutral positioning. And then let's take ourselves forward into a fold of our choice. So maybe this becomes a little bit of a knee bend. Maybe this becomes a little bit further of a fold. Maybe it becomes a little bit less of a fold, but a fold that feels appropriate at this moment in class. And then we'll walk ourselves up into a seat. Let's take both of our blankets and from shelf fold, hot dog fold them. So we end up with a mini little bolster. You do have the ability to double these up if that will feel like it's more beneficial. We're going to slide these underneath the knees to provide a little supported knee bend. And with that support in place, think about spine tall, breath easy, and we'll find our way into our fold. Remembering to utilize the prop underneath us. We don't want it just to be blankets sitting underneath the knees, right? So if they're not impacting you, fold them over once again until you feel that impact. And then try to relax into each exhale cycle of your breath. Note where in the posterior chain you're getting the response, and think about how you can communicate with that response, that tightness, that shortness through your breath to craft more ease. More softness. Starting as very young children, the youth of this community, start their school day by reciting an allegiance and appreciation for the rain, the rain that washes their streets, that nourishes their crops, that feeds their people and replenishes their drinking water. And while it may seem difficult to live a life in constant rain, the people of this village praise its existence daily. As you might imagine, in a place with constant rainfall, the vegetation is quite lush. The scenery is quite green. And so, from the perch on this volcanic mountain, this town overlooks what can only be described as a beautiful rainforest. Being said, they're not exactly known for their panoramic views, as the curtain of rain constantly limits the visibility. We'll give ourselves 60 more seconds here. Really think about relaxing into the exhale half of your breath. One more big, full inhale breath in, and complete exhale breath out, thinking about capturing any available space into the exhale. And we'll walk ourselves back up. Towards vertical. Take both of our blankets or towels here, and we are going to take them to a towel length. We end up here, and then we'll roll both of them. So we end up with two roughly towel length rolls. The first of these rolls is going to support our legs. That one's the easiest to set up. So let's take that over the top and just tuck that underneath the ankles. And then you can let the knees kind of fall out wide to hold that. The second is going to end up of making a U shape around our head. So we want the head to be able to fall back, the neck, the cervical spine to be articulated by the blanket itself, and then to really feel held in the same way our legs feel held. We want our head to feel held here. Tweak and adjust until you really feel supported. We want the back side of the head to be lower than the centerpiece of the cervical spine. So there's an arch, and the apex of the cervical spine is elevated by that blanket. Back of the head can fall towards the mat. If having the arms up by the blankets is too much on your shoulders, you can kind of tuck little edges of the towel or blanket underneath the top of the head, essentially just providing a little cover for the ears to dampen some sensory information. And then we relax so that we can tune back in how our body is responding here. So that our exhale breath can be this impactful tool of musculature release. Remember to check in on the musculature of the jaw, tongue, the shoulders. There may be an occasional gripe or complaint about the weather, but for the most part, villagers here love their life and their experience. Good morning. Little girl is looking out her window over the rainforest and the clouds that are enveloping it. As she eats her breakfast, and she asks her parents, what's beyond the rain? And they both kind of respond with almost a programmed language. Nothing worth knowing about. And again, almost not robotically, maybe automatically is a better word than robotically. Almost automatically, We start talking about the exceptionalism of this little village they live in. How lucky they are to have such incredible organic produce. To have streets and sidewalks that are constantly cleaned. Constant availability of fresh, pure drinking water. To live in such a tropical and beautiful paradise. And this little girl hears every word. None of the words are anything she hasn't heard before. It doesn't quite satisfy her intrigue. As you settle here, bring your awareness to your eyes. Let them close if they're not closed already. And try to feel in the musculature controlling the direction of your eyes. Not just the musculature closing the eyelids, but the musculature that allows your eyes, your field of vision to move, scan. With the eyes closed, we're going to direct the field of vision upward, almost like you're trying to look into the center of your forehead. And we're going to hold that gaze upward towards the center of your forehead with your eyes closed. And with that directional hold in place, we're going to work to relax the musculature controlling the direction of our eyes. And as that musculature relaxes, see if there's even more room for directional exploration. Can you gaze into the darkness even higher, maybe out through the top of your head? And then we'll relax completely and let that directional visual acuity return back to neutral. So eyes are closed, but the eyes have relaxed back to a neutral state. Focus on that musculature once again of the eyes. And with the eyes closed, let's direct our vision down, like we're trying to look at the nose. And while you have that directional gaze held down towards the nose, see if you can relax the musculature so that there's even more space. And with that additional space, can you maybe increase that downward focus so that maybe you would be looking at your chin? And then we'll relax back to neutral. And be at ease. When it feels appropriate, with the awareness around the musculature controlling the eyes, and with the eyelids closed, we'll take our gaze towards the right as if we were going to try to look out the right corner of the eyes if they were open. And while holding that, we'll relax the musculature so that maybe we can find a little more space. And we'll relax the eyes back to neutral. Think about being back at ease. And then drifting your awareness back to the musculature that controls the direction of the eyes, keeping the eyelids closed. We'll take our attention to the left corner, like you're trying to look out the left corner of your eyes with the eyelids closed. And as you're here, we'll relax the musculature so that maybe you can gaze just a little bit further around that corner. Maybe you're trying to look at your ears. We'll relax the eyes back to neutral. If it's possible to keep them closed, they're open. That if being open feels better, allow that, but allow the musculature controlling the direction of the eyes to be at ease. And so this little girl goes to school with this question kind of burning in the back of her mind. She goes through the vocalization of appreciation and allegiance to the rain. And then she asks her school teacher, "What's beyond the rain?" And almost automatically, the school teacher responds in the same way the little girl's parents did. Nothing worth talking about. Bring our awareness back to the musculature that directs the eyes. And this time, with an exhale, allow the direction, eyes closed, allow the direction to go down like you're trying to look at your nose. So exhaling out and taking that breath down or that gaze down. And then each time that you exhale, can you relax and allow that downward direction become a little bit more. One more full exhale. See how you can direct those eyes downward while relaxing. And then we'll bring the eyes back to neutral and let them just settle back in there. And with an exhale, we'll direct the eyes upward towards the forehead. And with each exhale, we'll work to relax the musculature and increase our eyes' capacity to travel upward. Using your exhale breath to relax and expand. One more big full exhale when you're ready. And relaxing back to neutral. Noting how the eyes feel here. The next time that you exhale, let's utilize that breath. Let the eyes go towards the left. And to gaze out the left corner of the eyes, or you would be if they weren't closed. And using each exhale breath to help you expand your directional capacity. One more big full exhale here. And then relaxing back to neutral. Feeling not only how your eyes feel here, but your head feels here, your neck feels here, your brain feels here. before we turn our attention to this final side with an exhale, letting our eye direction go towards the right, like we're trying to look out the corner of the eyes, or we would be if they were open. Using each exhale to relax the musculature further so that you can expand the direction of the gaze even more. Eventually, one more final exhale breath when you're ready that allows you to completely and fully relax into this space. And then we'll relax the eyes back to neutral. Once again, allow for the ability to scan how the eye musculature feels, how the neck musculature feels, how the brain feels as you come back into neutral. And then slowly allow the eyes to open. Receive light. And your breath. Take that blanket out from underneath the neck. And set that to the side as the head comes back down more in line with the cervical spine. And we'll elevate our knees back to neutral, and we can pull that blanket off of the feet. Put that to the side. Let your spine settle here. Pay attention to how the space is radiating out from the eyes. And think about where you can utilize that within your body. And as you settle and breathe more and more deeply here, can you think about, can you ask yourself if there's anything that you might want, that you might need, that you might benefit from prior to Shavasana? And if there is, can you offer that to yourself now? And if you have everything that you need, if you are perfectly content, perfectly ready to find your way into some stillness, then let's allow stillness to drift into our body. So we can prepare for Shavasana. And so, not satisfied with the answers from her parents or her teacher, later in the day, she asks a group of her friends if any of them know what's beyond the rain. And they all respond almost automatically. Nothing worth experiencing, that's for sure. And so as the school day ends, instead of heading home, she heads off into the jungle. continuing deeper into the clouds, into the trees, and into the rain, much deeper than she'd ever been before. Eventually, she found a break in the clouds, and she overlooked a distant horizon full of huge sheer cliffs, deep valleys, trees, way, way in the distance, a coastline. Got her phone and she took a picture before she ran back to the village. This little girl finally made it back to her village. Her clothes had been torn by the forest, and her face seemed to have the faintest little hint of sunburn, something none of the villagers had ever seen. And her eyes seemed to have this light that none of the other villagers had. And she showed them the picture of this vast horizon beyond where any of them had gone. And the villagers took her phone and they passed it around and they shook their heads. They said, why would anyone ever leave the safety of this rain for such hardship? And the little girl said, because the rain hides the truth. The rain, it's soft, it's comforting, but it blurs the edges. It distorts the reality. Out there beyond the rain, sure, there's harshness. There's also clarity. We'll start to bring some movement to our fingers and our toes. To your wrists and your ankles, to your elbows and your knees. Shoulders and hips, neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the entirety of the body moves, and through that movement, we'll transition from the shapes we are in back into a seat. In a seated space, spine gets tall, breath fluid, eyes closed once again. Feel the ease within your body radiating from the eyes themselves. With your next inhale, let's bring our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that approaching truth requires clarity and often means you'll experience things others would prefer to avoid, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's practice and for being you. Namaste. Happy Sunday, guys. Appreciate the heck out of you being here. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care of your eyes today. Love the heck out of you. I'll be back tomorrow if you want to move. If not, I'll see you in a week.